is Janelle Williams, Director of Programs at Global Health Action, and today marks International Women's Day for 2021. We're honored to have with us a panel of women leaders in health and development from East and West Africa, whom we celebrate this day for their choice to lead. And today, we hope to glean from their journeys and their collective wisdom and receive from them a charge to us all to do more, to do well, and to choose to lead. Our panelists include Uzoamaka Uja, a GHA alumna of 2007 and 2012, serves as the executive director of Isaiah 58 Care Foundation based in Nigeria. We have with us Annastacia Kavemba, a GHA alumni of 2019 and founder and CEO of Shine Epilepsy Support Organization based in Kenya. Beatrice Adhiambo Okundi, a GHA alumna of 2019, who serves as Assistant Director of the National Council for Population and Development based in Kenya. And finally, Jane Wajaria, a GHA alumna of 2008 and 2019, who serves also as Assistant Director of Population at the National Council for Population and Development based in Kenya. So I will start off with Amaka, Ms. Uju. I'll talk a little bit about her background. She is a public health nurse with over 30 years of experience in many settings, really with a heart and a passion to work actively to help and improve the lives for people, especially the vulnerable. She founded a community-based organization called Isaiah 58 Care Foundation. She gives support to underprivileged community members. She's devoted to serving the poor and the neglected in her society, especially women, children, and the elderly. Her philosophy is that every person should be fully brought up in the spirit of peace, dignity, tolerance, freedom, equality, solidarity, and the fear of God. He provides an atmosphere of happiness, love, understanding, and hope for the future of all. Amaka has been noticeably highlighted in the work that she's done to fight and eliminate malaria, using football tournaments in a biased state in order to help achieve the UN Global Goals by 2030. Her project has been highlighted for the work around HIV/AIDS. She's received several awards in the US and is certainly known as a leader within Nigeria and within the faith-based community as well for the work that she does. I would love to introduce you all to Amaka. I say Amaka because she's my friend, and I will say all of the women here are friends and colleagues.
Yes.
Very, very powerful. So please, Amaka, please share with us a little bit about your journey becoming a women leader. Wow. And certainly in celebration of International Women's Day, are there any call to actions? Please share with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm excited, and it's an honor to be part of this great company today. This Women's Day is for all of the women, particularly the women who are health workers, that they are like our guardian angels who are saving all of us. It is for all mothers who have taken care of their families during this lockdown and even after the lockdown. Above all, it is for the women who do not want to settle for discrimination, for rape, for insecurity and unfairness. I want to tell you my journey so far in a brief. My journey to leadership as a woman is not very simple. Though it has been a tough one as a public health nurse, I started with community-based organization as was introduced by General. I dedicated my professional career to positively impact and transform lives, especially vulnerable women. In my leadership role as a woman, I particularly make sure that I make people to feel what I do, not what I said. It has not been an easy journey, but this has helped me to sort out opportunities to help the women, particularly the vulnerable women. I must tell you that most women are deprived of their rights. Most women in my communities are deprived of their rights because they are not economically or educationally empowered. So I make sure I rampant in my communities and where I stay. There's a lot of domestic. Are you hearing me? Hello?
Now we can. Yes, we
Okay,
can.
it's like my internet is going on and off. Most women are deprived of their fundamental human rights, domestic violence. And I think women should be empowered through education, entrepreneurship, with financial support to make them advocate for themselves. Women bear more problems exclusively in health. When you see them with cancers, menopause problems, depression, the realities I'm seeing is that women should be helped to pursue their goals and improve their lives and that of their families. I must say again, to me, this International Women's Day means a lot for me. It means a lot. It means that the world should focus on women. Women deserve equal rights, equal future, free from stigma and violence. Women deserve to get the attention their male counterparts get. Just like the team 2021 said, women in leadership achieving equal future for all women. We must celebrate the tremendous efforts of women and girls around the world in shaping the future, especially during this COVID-19. Finally, what I can do as a person and in my community to support the women, I think we should be investing more in women. For instance, in my communities, I don't know of other places, in my communities, women are the biggest impacts. Investing in women makes the biggest impact in the world. For instance, women invest their 90% of whatever they get to their families. While men, with the survey, men invest only 30 to 40%, while women invest 90%. So for this, we must invest more in women so that they will be able to provide with all the necessary training and loans to support their families. That's what I think. Finally, we must promote community education and entrepreneurship in our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful introduction, Amaka. And I think you really hit so many things on the nail. You know, you're based in Nigeria, and
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times, you know, there are some similarities across sub-Saharan Africa, and sometimes there aren't some similarities across sub-Saharan Africa. And so I would love, you know, as we continue the conversation after the other ladies speak, love to hear more about some of the things that are actually really impacting around policy and literally just life on the ground, life in community with real people. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for being a woman leader. We so appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Beatrice Okundi. Ms. Okundi holds a bachelor's degree in sociology and geography from Egerton University, a diploma in population and sustainable development, and a master's of arts degree in population studies from the University of Nairobi. He works currently as the Assistant Director of Population with the National Council for Population and Development in Kenya, having worked there in the Eastern North region, covering the counties of Embu, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Isiolo, and Marsabit counties. Her previous appointments range in a number of varied portfolios, working within health NGOs, being a coordinator for a secretariat, the Hanet Secretariat, and doing so much more, working with stakeholders on the ground, working nationally, working in policy, working in government, quasi-government. And so, Beatrice, you have quite a list of experience and a varied experience portfolio. Welcome, welcome to this conversation and this dialogue. Start and share with us your journey as a woman leader and what you see in your world, please.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching us from or hearing us from. My name is Beatrice Okundi. As you've been told by Janelle, it looks so rosy, but it's not been so rosy, as they say. As has been indicated, I have worked both in government and in the civil society, and there are a lot of challenges that come with that. But I want, as Amaka was appreciating the health workers, I also want to appreciate women who are making their families live and survive. Women, we play a diverse role. It doesn't matter what sector of the economy you're in. Women really play a big role. I just want to say that my journey has not been rosy in terms of just saying it's been easy, because as a woman, first of all, you face challenges. Just being a woman and trying to convince everyone that you need to be in that space where you're working in. Be it in the family level where you have the male counterparts probably deciding what they want from you. If it's in the workplace, you still have to prove that you're able to do the work that you're given. We have in the African setup, you have the extended family where a lot of expectations come to you as a woman. But one thing I want to appreciate about my country, Kenya, and I just want to note that I work for the National Council for Population and Development. This is a semi-autonomous agency of government, and they are concerned in terms of doing advocacy on population issues. If you say population, it mentions everyone in the society, right from the child to the old person. So NCPD has put it up a front in terms of just making sure that the issues that affect women are addressed. And one of the things that we've been focusing on of late, and I know Jane will be able to mention this, is teenage pregnancy. Yeah, it is something that is affecting our women. It's something that we need to still talk about so that a woman can be able to achieve their full potential. That said and done, I note that the Kenyan government, we have a lot of supportive policies. The government has gone out of its way to ensure that our policies actually take women into consideration. And even as we celebrate the International Women Day, there's a lot that we can be proud of, be it grants, be it policies to ensure that women are included in the workforce. But we still have challenges in terms of getting all the women involved. Regardless of the challenges we have in politics and all that, there's still a lot that women need to do to get involved. So I think I will be able to discuss more as we move on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. And we really appreciate you bringing to the forefront all of the roles that women play and how, on one level, we're so excited about the push forward in our careers and workplaces and sort of external to the family and those most intimately connected to us. But thank you for raising the concept and the reality check of what happens in your own home and how are those dynamics, how does that interplay? And so this is something that is such a critical part of the conversation and dialogue. So thank you for being there as an advocate, but also as a policy implementer, because I think this is really where the rubber begins to meet the road in our world. So thank you so much, Beatrice. Our next speaker and panelist is Annastacia Kavemba, and Annastacia is another powerful woman who's the founder and CEO of Shine Epilepsy Support Organization. The organization is an NGO, local NGO based in Nairobi, that's dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of people with epilepsy through information, education, advocacy, support services, and research throughout Kenya. And I think one thing that really amazes me about each of you is that you saw a problem, you see problems, and you're headed and doing and creating solutions where nobody else has either stepped in or you're heading up and leading others along that path. So Annastacia, thank you. I believe Shine Epilepsy is perhaps maybe one of the only local-led organizations in Kenya focused on this issue. Please, Annastacia, welcome.
Thank you, Janelle, and the rest of the team members. As you mentioned, we try to close the gap of the people with epilepsy in Kenya and make sure that their lives are improved, as well as talk about being able to ensure that together with their families, they have full access to life, because you find that there's a lot of stigma in our society, and most of these people get locked in their houses. They don't get the exposure to live a normal life. Being an International Women's Day today, we are trying to have a future whereby it's sustainable enough, and there's inclusiveness and equitability to the people with disability. Being that epilepsy is a disability, we are trying to make sure that we create many opportunities for women in our society so that they sustain themselves in the community. Talking about the leadership journey, I would say it's been tough, because you find some of the activities in our community, they're not perceived as whether they can be done by a woman or not. They're perceived like there are certain aspects which women are not able to do. We are trying to make sure that we fully focus on leadership for all women in all ages, so that they can be able to gain and develop their personal leadership skills and be helpful to the community. It's been a good journey, and I would say that we are trying to raise the voice of the people with epilepsy, doing awareness, and ensure that they get to enjoy life to the fullest. I will expound more as we continue.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Annastacia. I would now like to introduce our final panelist, Jane Wajaria, a 2007 and 2019 GHA alumna based in Kenya, who serves as Assistant Director of Population at the National Council of Population and Development. Jane is an experienced population scientist with a demonstrated history of working in the population field, skilled in advocacy and policy dialogue, community engagement, communicating research findings, developing social behavioral change communication programs, coordinating research programs, and developing program evaluation. Jane leads as a population health and environmental expert. She attained her Master's of Arts in Population Studies from the University of Nairobi and is currently conducting studies for her PhD in Population Studies. Welcome, Jane. Welcome to our program today. Thank you for joining us, and would love to hear again your journey as a women leader, but then also, what are you seeing, Jane? What are the things that cause you great passion and cause you great angst, all at the same time? Welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Janelle, and everybody. Good afternoon and good morning, wherever you're watching from. My name is Jen, just like Janelle has introduced me. And let me first of all say that I am so much excited for this day. And I want to pay my, to congratulate all the women, all the brave women who have stood up against all forms of discrimination, who have broken the barriers, the societal barriers, religious barriers, economic barriers, and gender barriers to become the leaders they are in their small or big way, because women, I believe, they are leaders and they have a lot of influence wherever they are. And I must say that the journey towards leadership has not been easy, because as you all know, and from all the world over, women are discriminated right from the word go, from birth, and they have actually to struggle. So I am saluting all the women who have broken all these barriers, who have stood up against gender discrimination, and who have actually listened up to become the leaders in their own way. So let me say that in the journey of leadership, there are various challenges that we encounter. And I must say that gender discrimination is one of them, because as a woman, you have to fight more than all the other men, all the other people, so that you can be able to rise up. And I must say that as a woman, the challenges that I have encountered is trying to juggle between being a wife, being a mother, being a worker. And and I must say that some of the opportunities, especially in Career Rise, have actually bypassed me, because sometimes you have to trade off the career in favor of maybe family, looking after family, looking after children. And I must say it hasn't been very easy. It has been a journey filled with so many ups and downs, but all the same, that is why I'm saluting all the women who have listened up to the positions they are in their own small way. So I think for now, I think that is what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jade. That's so powerful. And, you know, I think, Beatrice, you shared that, you said in Kenya, we, the dependency and the interdependency with the extended family is critical to life. But the expectations for women, it's very different compared to the men. And so I would say that's similar, right? On some level, here as well, depending on culture, depending on backgrounds and so forth. And I think the realities that you shared, Jane, I think these are one of the universal challenges that women do have, is balancing and trying to meet everybody else's needs, because you're being pulled on and tugged on. One of the things that's been very clear to me, especially for women who, as you said, have been brave to push forward, to start something, to create something, is that COVID-19 has had such an impact, on the capacity of women in so many ways, and the stressors and the implications. And so one of our guest panelists, Grace Adhiambo, is not able to be with us today. Grace was literally today just diagnosed with COVID, and so is undergoing treatment, but certainly it's hit her hard. And so these are just the other realities that are front and center in front of us. What are you seeing right now with the women that you serve, with the communities that you advocate for? What are you seeing as the challenges that women are facing, but then also what do you see as some of the opportunities that women can have, even in the midst of such a challenging time that we're living in right now? And this is for all of our guest panelists. Anyone, please feel free to share. Beatrice, there we go.
Maybe they can start. Just being a woman is a challenge in itself, because there's a lot of expectation from society. If you look at from what Jen was talking about, at the family level, where you're expected to manage the family, and at the same time, it's written in the Bible, and people expect that the man is the head of the household. But today, more often than not, women have to step up because of the cost of living and the things that you do. But despite the fact that the woman is in the workplace, it still means that you have to go back home to make sure that all the children are fine. If you're married, then your husband is also okay. And the community that surrounds you, you also have to reach out to them and be seen to be available. So for a woman, you are divided in many directions, and you're not allowed to say that I am tired. Yeah, that is something that a woman is not expected to. So by the time you're going to bed, you're completely worn out, because all the children that you have need your attention. And the extended family would be calling you. Now that they know you're working, there's an expectation that you need to reach out and to be able to support them. Now, in terms of opportunities, I see at the global level, regional level, and even at the national level, that we have there's a tendency to be able to give women the space that they require. It is in policies. It is like in Kenya, we are saying 1/3 gender rule, as much as some of it has not been implemented, but there is that push to be able to get women to the space where they are represented in all spheres of life. If you look at the funds that have been availed by government, there are funds that are specifically put out for women. so that they can be able to get together, be able to invest, and be able to support their family members. That, I think, is a very big support coming from our government. And then the other thing, I just wanted to mention that even as we face all these challenges, I think it's still up to us women, despite the challenges that we are facing, that we need to move forward and not accept defeat. And I say this even as I refer to the political space, where a lot of the women we have would be nominated, and we are saying that they can be able to get their voices out there. And if you are blessed in terms of the political sphere, that you should be able to come out and be able to represent women and be seen to be representing them. Maybe I can leave to someone else to discuss this further. Thank you. Over to you, Janelle.
Thank you, Beatrice. I think we have both Annastacia and Jane looking to share.
Okay, yeah, I think I can go in. And let me first of all start by one of the challenges that the women are facing, especially this time of COVID-19. And let me bring in the issue of menstrual periods, yeah? And especially for the young girls, for those women who are not economically able to meet their surprise for the menses. And it has been escalated by the COVID-19 because I believe when it comes to women's issue, that is menstruation, it will take the last number, the last priority as far as the men are concerned, especially when you go to a supermarket and you're picking items. I wonder how many men would pick a packet of sanitary towels for their girls. And I think this has also been escalated because, during COVID-19, because as you all know, in times of need, there is type of prioritization. So when the sanitary towels which are necessary for every girl, every woman, are prioritized in the last, at the bottom of the line. This is worrying enough, but all is not lost, because I think this has also now made people aware that this is a need that should be attended to, just like any other need, especially when it comes to surprise. And I just want to put a challenge to you, like I attended a meeting where somebody was saying that if all the men were menstruating, I think the government would give sanitary pads for free. And if all men were carrying a pregnancy, we would not be talking about teenage pregnancy right now. If every time sex happened and a man have chances of getting a baby, of becoming pregnant, we will not be talking about gender discrimination that you're witnessing now. So it is the high time the government and everybody who is concerned took women issues seriously, because sometimes women are discriminated because this is a woman's issue. Menstruation is a woman's issue. When you talk about teenage pregnancy, it's a woman's issue. And I think that is where we need to focus our conversation, so that these things should be taken as human rights, and we should not be observing the discrimination that we are witnessing now. But I think COVID-19 has also rang bells, because I am seeing a lot of publicity, a lot of advocacy towards girl child, especially when it comes to menses, and also teenage pregnancy, as Beatrice had alluded earlier, that in Kenya, for instance, this COVID-19 have made teenage pregnancy to come to another level. It has been, it is one of the top agendas in the country, and I like it because the conversation is going on, and we need to move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. I know, Annastacia, did you have something to share?
Yeah. I would say there are a lot of challenges facing women in Africa, and I think everywhere else in the world, starting with access to equal opportunities. You find that most opportunities are not given equally in the society, because like you find women they are quoted to, like, they're supposed to be taking care of their family as well as they focus on their career. And also you find that while you're navigating career and motherhood, if one has a family, it's a bit difficult because you have to balance and make sure that each is taken care of. As you find when you're doing your work, you have to deliver. When you come home, you have to deliver as well. And you also find that there's lack of women in powerful positions. You find it's not equal. So you can't say the opportunities are balanced. And the few women we have who are leaders, they're trying their very best to ensure that they try and empower us fellow women and make sure that there's women empowerment, and they also give training so that we can learn from them. And we would say they're our role models.
Thank you, Anastasia. I think, Jane, is that your daughter? Do we have a girl?
Yes, girl.
That's perfect, right? This is what this is all about. I'm sorry, I had to mention that. So, Anastasia, you're absolutely right. I think, kind of like this conversation and the challenge of the roles and the challenge of balancing all of this is really critical. I wanted to kind of jump back to Beatrice and what you shared, because we are talking about women and girls, and I think Beatrice, you shared this piece about the 1/3 gender rule in Kenya, and so when I looked at the work that's being done around gender, the office that's responsible to really ensuring gender equality and really kind of pushing towards those UN goals, I guess the question is, what are the policies on the table? What are the aspects of advocacy that folks can get rallied around? What are the things that men can do as well? Because we're having a conversation and our panelists were all women, because fundamentally it's Women's Day and we wanted to talk to women, right? And celebrate each other. But how important is it for men to be involved and boys to be involved? How important is it, and what role can they play? Particularly as we talk about the work that you all do in advocacy.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. Maybe I can just contribute a little bit. In our constitution, there's the 1/3 gender rule, and it means in every position that, be it political, be it in the work life, that we should have women equally represented. More often than not, you find in most positions, it's the men that are on the chair. If you're looking at it in the political sense, we had like about 3 sessions that tried to bring in the 1/3 gender rule so that women could be accommodated in the sphere. But most of our parliamentarians are men. And anytime it was brought up, it was always shot down. It doesn't matter how much the women strive to get it on the table, but it never worked out. So right now we have 47 women representatives from the 47 counties, but that's still not adequate. We still have more than 300 men representing the country. So you can see the constitution, the will is there to get the woman on the table. But that said, we need the men to also support and to see the value addition that is added. And that's why I would challenge the women that are already there to see how can they best work with the male politicians that are there so that they can be able to get their issues also discussed and get people to support them. I want to give an example of one of our women parliamentarians who was there. She's now in the Supreme Court. And she fought, despite having very few women as politicians, she ensured that the bill on sexual violence was actually passed. And it's because she was able to advocate with the men who are in parliament. That is something that these 47 women, among others that are elected, can be able to do. We need men to be also be voices for the women, because they are not only our brothers, they are our husbands, they are our sons, we can't do without them. Yeah. So we need them to support us. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
That was beautifully said, Beatrice. Thank you for sharing that. I think, I'm looking in the chat and we have Amaka who's having some challenges with her internet. So she's using the chat to communicate. She says the men folks should support women, starting from the homes to the offices. Politicians should carry women along and not saying that this post is not for women. And Amaka is speaking from Nigeria. And so, this is cross-cutting. We have Daniel who says, as a son of a woman, an uncle to many young women, and a friend and servant of women in the community that I'm a part of, I would like to appreciate you all and show my support and solidarity on this day. And so what I
Ah,
love
thank
about
you.
this is, well, we know that Daniel is not just doing it for today, but this is part of a life choice. And I think you really hit this on the nail, Beatrice, because part of leadership is knowing your stakeholders. Part of your leadership is knowing who, you're a leader, which means you've got folks following you. But then you've also have the challenge and the opportunity to partner across lines, whatever those lines may be. And so how effective are women at bringing collaboration to the table when they're not at the table? There is a quote here in the U.S. I love this woman and honored to even have some familial connection to her. My uncle was a part of her team. This was the first African American woman in the U.S. who um, moved forward in terms of a political run for presidency, and Shirley Chisholm. And there's a quote that she has, and we have it on our webpage. There's a quote that she has that says, "If you're not invited to the table, bring your folding chair. Bring your
Yes.
folding chair and pull it up, right? Because you can't wait to be at the table. You can't ask for permission, even though you're probably supposed to be there, probably, right? Even that language is a problem. But bring a folding chair. And I think, in each of our lives, we've had to walk in with our folding chairs. And so where are those spaces and places that we need to carry the folding chairs so that we're able to maneuver and not just also get stuck? Because that's an interesting point. Not just get stuck in one position, but recognizing that we've got to maneuver to really be effective in making these changes. So I want to say thank you so much for raising that point. And I think there's so much. I know there's a lot of challenge in terms of land ownership and what women have access to and what women can do in Kenya. And I know there's been a lot of advocacy, particularly around land and estates and so forth. I wanted to jump now to Jane's point around period stigma. And I know we have several younger men, especially, who are working around period stigma and advocating for girls. But I've also seen, the newspaper articles with girls taking their own lives because they've been shamed for something that is natural and as a part of their developing into womanhood. And so I want to ask you, I think one of the needs for us as women is both pulling in men to come alongside and being strategic about how we collaborate, but also how do we support each other as women as we walk through life becoming a woman. Um, I was at we had put together a training in Haiti around gender-based violence, sexual and gender-based violence for midwives. And, one of the things that was very clear in those discussions, even amongst the midwives who were Haitian, was the challenges that they felt with themselves having gone through traumatic experiences. And then basically preparing their daughters to say, okay, when you become of age, something very bad is going to happen to you. It'll be the worst thing that'll happen to you in your life, but you will live. And they were talking about rape or incest, or right. And so it became something that was, this was the way in which a mother felt she needed to prepare her daughter. And I wanted to kind of open that up to both you, Jane, and Annastacia, because Annastacia, you're coming from the lens of working with families, working with individuals with disabilities, and caretakers, and the challenges just in that space. So I love, Jane, for you to share, on some level when it comes to that period stigma, but also becoming a woman, right? And then Anastasia, in terms of, how is disability, how does that add to that lens, that gender lens? What are the challenges that women with disabilities face? Or the women caretakers, because caretakers are mostly women for the most part. How is that reality moved forward, and what can we do? I guess that's the other part of this. What can we do to address that. So please, Jane and Annastacia would love to hear from you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's tough, I would say, because you find most of the carers are women, and you find also most of the social workers are women. And in our society, you find that being a woman, she is the one to take care of the person with epilepsy. So she has to forgo what she's supposed to do on a daily basis to look after the person who has epilepsy. And you find that in such a setup, the carer doesn't have much source of income because the time is taken to look after the person who has epilepsy. And you find there's that stigmatization and poverty, and you find that they can't move on from where they are because a lot needs to be done. A lot of empowerment and creating sustainable projects for these women is very important so that they can be able to sustain themselves. And also you find when a woman is looking after that person, they tend to think a lot, like, why me? Why is it happening to my family? And having epilepsy being associated with a witchcraft, you find they get shunned from the community, and you see women meet up and they talk. So you find whatever a carer or that mom is passing by, they might feel like a person is talking, or a group of women that are talking about her child who has epilepsy. So you find that there's that discomfort. And you find it's good we have in our society groups of those women and carers coming together and working as one so that we remove that discrimination because it's really affecting them. Yeah.
Thank you, Annastacia. So what we're talking about is these support groups
Yes.
of caregivers, caretakers, but also women who are not impacted directly by epilepsy joining along with women who are affected, right? And that being
yes, we need to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot needs to be done, starting from awareness, because you find a lot of people don't know, and the people who know, most of them you find they have a relative or a close family friend who has a victim who has epilepsy, and you find it's not known, it's not commonly known by Kenyans what epilepsy is, and even the minimal thing they can do, like give a first aid, they don't know. So we need to come out there and do awareness and support where we can, because there's a lot of.
Thank you. Thank you, Annastacia. Thank you. Jane?
Okay, thank you, Janelle. I think one of the things we have to address in terms of discrimination and stigmatization is actually getting men on board, and especially ensuring that they understand the so-called women issues. So that if we have an advocacy forum for where we are advocating for teenage pregnancy, where we are advocating for the monthly periods, the men are going to be at the center of it all. We make them appreciate, understand that this is a normal life process so that we can start dealing with the stigma. And I must say that some of the things that we witness our men doing, they do them out of ignorance. For instance, it's the way they were brought up by their mothers. So can we as women also now start training our boys to be the men that we would want them to be when they become of age, so that they are not going to repeat the same mistake that we are seeing and witnessing happening today against women, that a boy will not laugh at a girl who have soiled her dress, because he understands this is a real life process. It is normal, so that they can be able to appreciate that this girl is not out of ordinary. And again, when we talk about the women issue, we tend to forget that when we talk about the girls and the women's issue, I think we should also make our men to understand that they are part and parcel, because if it's a father and their daughters are menstruating, let them understand that it is their duty to buy the sanitary pads, and there is no shame even in picking a pad in the supermarket. I think this conversation, we have now to start retraining our men and also making them to learn, also revising the cultural things that we were taught when we were young, that a man does this, a man is not supposed to do this, so that we can start now having the desired society that we would all want to have. And I think this is a very interesting conversation because I must admit that when you see men discriminating against women, some of them are just doing it out of ignorance. But what I'm trying to advance forward is that we should make them to understand and to appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. That is so on it. And I'm just loving seeing the daughters on this as well. I have two sons, and and so we're all living this life. I think our first step is how are we impacting, educating our boys as well as our girls? How are we building gender neutral, gender unbiased worlds, right? How are we doing that? How are we appreciating each other and challenging male and female to really move forward into their best person, right? Into their best person, irregardless of their gender. How do we ensure that? And I think when you talk about the power that women have, we have so much power. We're the ones right there at the core of the home and have such an amazing opportunity to make that shift and that difference. So thank you for sharing that, Jane. Amaka, I think I can hear you. Please,
yes, I can
please
hear you
join
now.
in.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
share with us.
Yes.
We've
just
talked
started
about so many
something.
things, but go ahead. Speak to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, hi, are you hearing me?
We are hearing you perfectly well.
Okay, some of the problems the women have to do with our fellow women. Most women, they don't like to encourage the other women to be part of them. I'm just telling you by example, in some of the communities, when you see some women who are well-to-do, who will be able to coach other younger women or little women, if women can come together, no matter your rank, no matter your level or your age, and carry everybody along, let all the women walk like a chain. Let's be like a chain, lift each other up. It will go a lot of way to help the women folks. Because here you see, if a rich woman, she does not want to associate with the poor woman, which is wrong. A woman is a woman no matter the level. So let's all try as women to carry everybody along. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maka. And I think you really hit so much right there. And I love that you said, let us walk as a train or as a chain. I said chain, but it's chain or train. Let us walk united and linked up together. And I think what's so beautiful about this group is that each of you, that's how you're living. It is very, very aware, very aware that that's part of it. I think the other dynamic is, as you talked about government, I remember there was a conversation I had in a training, and I remember it was a bevy of men and maybe two women in the group. And we talked about leadership, and we said, I said, so do you have to have a title to be a leader? Right? What's the difference? Because can you have a title and have no power and no influence? Or can you not have a title and have great power and great influence? Right? And so as we were discussing that, it was like, yeah, there is the opportunity to still have a title, but no power, no influence. But there's also no title and power and influence. But the script that we were discussing flipped when I said, so tell me, where have you seen a leader that has a title but no power? And they said, oh, the women parliamentarians. And I was horrified listening to that, because there was a recognition that there was this disconnect and this challenge, even when women are in positions of leadership, governance, that there's this constant battle to belittle or dismiss that role. And so, how do we support each other and also bring along men, right, to be able to support, as you said, the advances and the goals that are designed to really build a society, a just society? Why is it that it's important? And I guess this is probably my closing question. We started off talking about it, but let's close with it. Why is it important to celebrate women? Why is it important for an entire society to actually support the health and wealth, development of women? Why is that important? And anyone can share that. As potentially a closing response. Why does it matter?
Maybe I could say something. I just want to acknowledge Martina, my daughter, who's also online, and my brother Joshua. So I have both gender represented in this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Martina. That said, there's something that Amaka has talked about, which is really critical, because you find some of the challenges we have is women who are not supporting women. Many a times you'd find women standing, especially at the community level, when a fellow woman has a problem, and you're the one who is pushing this narrative that kind of is going to demean a fellow woman. Let me give an example of when you've lost your spouse and there's this land that you need actually access to it for you to be able to do something. You find it's fellow women who really make it hard for you. But the constitution, Kenya constitution has made it imperative that it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, you can be able to inherit land. But we still have challenges at the implementation level. So we'd require women to be able to stand up. If you find that there is that opportunity, support your fellow woman. And as Amaka has rightly put it, it doesn't matter whether you've gone to school. I give an example of one of my late aunts. She had a way of just getting everybody around her to listen to her and to talk, right from the person, the oldest person in the community to the poorest. Everybody, when she passed on, everybody was like, wow, this woman was such a powerful woman. But it's not like she held any official position. But the fact that she was able to listen to people and respond to them as human beings, first of all, is something that went a long way. So as women, even as we're talking as leaders here and people who have had some impact in life, it is important that we recognize what each of us is playing. We all have a role to play. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, but you have a role to play. Whether you're in school, whether you are at home and you're raising your boy child, how do you teach your boy child to be able to associate with fellow girls? Are you telling this boy that he can sit in the living room and the women are in the kitchen? Or are you teaching them that they can both cook together? So it is our responsibility. And this Women's Day allows us to be able to reflect on things that we have not thought about, and just to celebrate being a woman, which is really a good thing. So thank you for that.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Beatrice. Yes. I have one question. We have one question in the chat, and then I would love for us all to kind of help to close out. And I thought it was important enough to bring it up. There's a question from Daniel to Beatrice. What are some of the policy challenges in addressing sexual and reproductive health among adolescents? And are there any practical solutions to teenage pregnancy as recently experienced among schoolers during the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think I would want to give that to Jane.
Janelle, I didn't get the question.
The question was to Beatrice. Daniel is recognizing that there's a lot of teenage pregnancy that's really increased during COVID-19 pandemic. So he was asking Beatrice and certainly Jane, because of the advocacy organization they're part of, what are their practical solutions and also policy option and opportunities to really rally around to address this?
Okay, I think I can attempt to address it because let me first of all start by saying that there are no practical solutions. This is something that have worried everyone. And in Kenya, for instance, it has stagnated for the last like 15 years. The 3 consecutive surveys, teenage pregnancies have stagnated at between 20 and 18%. And the government is still trying to crack its nuts on how to be able to address the issues. But what we are saying is that we must understand teenage pregnancy from the root cause because it has very, very many facets. And we need to understand the cultural aspects of teenage pregnancy. What are the drivers from the economic perspectives, from the social perspectives, from the religious, traditional perspectives, so that we can be able to stamp these files out of the society. But for now, let me say it is still a very big challenge. There is so many policies addressing teenage pregnancy, but I think we cannot address teenage pregnancy through legislation. We must understand it from the cultural setup, from the individual setup. How do they perceive teenage pregnancy to be? Because when you interview several girls, there are so many things that leads to teenage pregnancy. So I'm not an expert, but what we are trying to say is trying to understand it, the different facets of teenage pregnancy, so that we can be able to address it from the root cause. I think that is what I have to say for now. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jane, for sharing that. And I think the question is really coming from a place of, you've got civil society organizations, right, both community-based and faith-based, that are represented, in this group. And there are quite a lot of activities being employed on the ground. And so one of the challenges, I think, is also identifying, what is that larger strategy that allows for that root cause analysis, and what are some of the successful programs that are actually in operation, or what's making them successful, and how do those get lifted within the context of Kenya, or within the context of Nigeria? How do those get lifted to the forefront to encourage, right? Because it's a multi-leveled and multi-layered problem, and that's what you're saying. It's a complex problem. It's not just one thing that's going to make the change. It's a combination of, cultural changes, mindsets around gender, mindsets around, right, what's education, and so many layers. So thank you for really raising that, is that it is a complex problem, but how can civil society move forward together in really addressing this? We are literally at the top of the hour. And this has been a really, really fantastic conversation. And I really want to extend for the next minute or two, if each of our panelists can give us a lasting comment. We are celebrating International Women's Day. We are celebrating women. We've talked a lot about our problems. But I would love for you all to close us off today with any lasting words, and maybe even words of encouragement as we head out. Please.
Yeah, maybe I can be the first one to go. I want to congratulate all the women who are struggling, who are ready to rise up, and to remind them that they should never, ever give up until they get it. It is possible, and they can be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Just to support what Jenna said, I would want to say that it is never enough. You need to be the voice of the woman and the girl child, even as they grow up. Let's keep this fight. Let's keep this conversation. Let's involve the men so that we move together as a society. And thank you for this celebration.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you for this celebration. I'm congratulating everybody, every woman, wherever you are, no matter the rich and the poor. Let's keep moving with strength. Let's keep walking, and let's keep praying. If we can carry pregnancy for 9 months, there's nothing we cannot do by God's grace.
Oh, yes.
Yes, let's just keep moving. Let's just keep moving, supporting one another. Don't leave any woman behind. Wherever you are, let's communicate and know how we can do to make the women even our men's life better, including our children. Thank you very much. And I look forward to more of these meetings to know how we can move as women to make the world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Maka. Beautifully said. Annastacia.
Mine is to thank everyone in this team and to wish all of you a happy International Women's Day. And I would just say, stronger together, we can achieve more and conquer the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Annastacia, and thank you for everyone who joined us. This has been such a powerful group, and I think it's really just touching the beginning of a conversation amongst ourselves, because I think there's so much power resident right here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the strength of civil society, and looking forward to us bringing some men on board, because we have lots of advocates, but again, it's learning how to work together and work forward for our society. Our society is made better when we work together. Our society is made better when we are equal. Our society reaps incredible benefits. And so this is definitely something that we all look forward to. And today on International Women's Day from Global Health Action, we wish you all a beautiful day where we celebrate and appreciate each woman, each girl, today and every day. So have a great rest of the day. Thank you all for joining us, and enjoy, 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 enjoy. We choose to challenge these biases, and we will move forward together. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.